Hey guys, it's Chase with csjoseph.life. So this is video number 5 of our 16 personality videos. We're doing deep dive profiles into each of the 16 personality types and trying to provide a better distinction of the archetypes according to Jungian analytical psychology outside of the standard, oh hey, I'm on the internet and I'm going to Google a certain MBTI type and I'm going to learn everything there is to know about this type. Yeah, everyone has their opinion on various types, and hopefully with these videos you'll be able to kind of get a better idea of how these types actually work and how they actually behave compared to just some random profile that you read on the internet or some random forum that tells you that Donald Trump is actually an ESTP, which is wrong. He's an ENTJ, but we talked about that a couple of videos ago anyway. So today's archetype that we're going to be focusing on is the extroverted sensing feeling judge, also known as the supporter, ESFJ. So the supporter is one of the starter types. It's also of the traditionalist temperament in the same way that we talked about the ESTJ previously, but they are very similar and very different from the ESTJ. So let's take a look at our trusty whiteboard, and I apologize, this video will be long. Like all of the type videos that I've been doing regarding to the 16 personalities. So let's take a look at it right here. Awesome, you can see it now. So the ESFJ, extroverted sensing feeling judge, traditionalist, starter type. Why are they a starter type? It's because they are informative, initiating, and movement. What does that mean? Real quick, informative, initiating, movement is what causes people to start a lot of things, put a lot of energy in the beginning of things, but then they kind of they don't exactly finish everything they start. I know, because I am a starter type, and the next 4 videos, including this one, will be focusing on just the starter type interaction style. And then we'll do chart the course, see it through types, and then we'll do behind the scenes to finish it off. So the ESFJ, the supporter. So the supporter is typically known as the most self-sacrificing of all the types. Some people would claim that it's the INFJ. Others would claim that it is the ENFJ. But quite frankly, the ESFJ, in my opinion, is the most self-sacrificing of all the types. Why? It's because the ESFJ believes it's their duty to do so. They do not do what they want. They have no concept of what they want. Just like ESTJs never ask an ESFJ what they want, like ever. That's just going to lead to a train wreck. Tell them what you want instead, and tell them what they should do, because ESFJs don't make decisions based on what they want. They make decisions based on what they should do. And that's why they're always asking, hey, should I do this or should I do that? Or what do you want me to do, right? They never say, well, I want to do this. And if they do, it's super rare. And if they do, run for the hills. Whenever an ESFJ is saying, I want to do something, you need to go the other direction, because if you participate in that activity with them, you're going to get screwed. Don't do it. They think they want things, and they realize that they've just bought themselves a Toyota RAV4 that they didn't have any use for whatsoever. And then they leave the car lot feeling like they've just been had. Or, quite frankly, they don't feel like they've been had until everyone else starts questioning them on their decision. Be careful. ESFJs can be sold if they are alone. Do not allow them to be alone. And when it comes to financial decisions, they need assistance. It's not they're as much as ESFJs would claim that they are the most financially genius people on the planet. In some cases, they're really not. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a second. So let's start with their ego, the ESFJ ego. So FE hero makes them extremely caring about other people in the same way that we just talked about with ENFJs. Now, because they're very TISINEFE oriented, ESFJs have this really strong sense of justice, But because they have FE hero, they're literally walking covert contracts. In fact, ESFJs are at risk of having covert contracts with life, to the point where they think, if I'm a good person, then good things will come to me. No, that's not actually how life works. But a lot of ESFJs walk around believing that simple approach. And they end up finding themselves getting involved with the wrong people, or finding themselves being irresponsible for the sake of other people because of that very large covert contract. A covert contract being when it's like, hey, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But they have that with like life. Hey, I'm being a good person, life, so I deserve better treatment than this. And the ESFJ is usually the first person to complain about bad things happening to good people, right? Well, I'm sorry, but like, come on. Life's unfair. But ESFJs believe that life should be fair, and they go out of their way to make it as fair as possible for as many people as they possibly can. So that's basically, FE hero, super caring, very self-sacrificing, all about how other people feel, all about other people's value judgments. ESFJs would believe that abortion is a good thing because the collective believes it's a good thing. But if an ESFJ is a rounded individual who has that has very high FI with their moral thinking, and that person morally believes that abortion is wrong, then the ESFJ will start thinking it's wrong. It just really depends. Because remember, like, abortion is ethical to the collective, but it could be immoral to an individual. Immoral, that is. So ESFJs, I'm not saying that they succumb to groupthink, but when they get around a collective of people or a group of people who have a certain value system or a certain value judgment, eventually the ESFJ will either take on that value judgment and become, a participant, or they will immediately leave that entire group entirely and go off on their own and be independent. But given that they're an extrovert, that's usually unlikely. The more mature an ESFJ is, the more likely they are to be able to tear away from that group. Otherwise, the less likely they're able to be an agent of counterculture in that situation. I'm not saying that they're weak. I'm just saying that they have to be careful what circles of friends that they have. And typically, really mature ESFJs, they actually are really careful about the type of people that they allow in their life, because they know they can be so trusting, they know they can be taken advantage of because they can remember it. See, unlike the ENFJs, which have NI for their parent, SI parent is actually there. So ESFJs actually remember everything. They can go on and on and on about their past. My grandmother, she's 80 plus years old, and she's telling me stories about things from her childhood, like when she was 5 years old, for example. ESFJ memory lasts forever, and they will remember anything and everything and bring it up in every social situation and how people were feeling in that situation and how fair it was and whether or not anyone got away with it. My grandmother talks about how her brother would snitch on her or claim that she did something bad even though she didn't, and then she'd get whipped by her father, back in the Great Depression, for example. Again, it's SI parent. So also, SI parent, basically SFJs, they're really built to take abuse. They're built to take punishment. They can really suffer through a lot of things, and they can get so bad with the amount of suffering that they can take or put up with or tolerate that eventually, if they're not in a state of suffering, they'll start to approach life in a way where it's like that something's wrong. If there isn't some type of adversity present in their life, they're like, this is wrong, and they don't actually feel normal. They don't actually feel like they are I don't want to say like they're not happy. It's just that it's just not regular for them. It's not part of their groove because the adversity becomes part of their groove. And that's the thing about ESFJs. They can get super stuck in a routine, which is or is not a bad thing. I mean, if they're like in a relationship with an ESFP, routine is absolutely necessary. But if it's just a routine that's for their life, then they start expecting other people with their critic to follow that same routine. That's crazy. I mean, ESFJs can get so routine, especially with how they're caring for others. Like with my grandmother, for example, if you do the dishes without her permission, she will become very angry with you. Why? It's because you're stealing her opportunity to care for other people. So let's examine that. So the virtue and vice of an ESFJ is like caregiving versus caretaking. Caretaking, again, is a covert contract. It's like, I'm going to care for you, but I expect you to give me something in return. But I'm not even going to tell you about what that is that I expect in return. I'm just going to like call in that favor one day when you least expect it or don't expect it, or you might expect it. I don't know, but I'm still going to call it in, and you're going to have to be obligated to do it because I initially felt obligated to support you with what you're doing. Yeah, I know. But that's how ESFJs are. They're motivated by obligation, what they should do. That's what SI parent is all about. It's all about obligation. They need to feel comfortable. You got to make your ESFJs feel comfortable. If they're not comfortable, it's going to be a problem. They'll start being they will stop being supportive if they do not feel comfortable, if they do not feel safe. That's going to be a problem. So you guys, if you're in a relationship with an ESFJ, or if you have them in your family, or if you're doing business with one, make sure that they are as comfortable as possible. And remember that because they're an SJ, ESFJs, like, I know a lot of ESFJ men in my life that I've met, they're all firemen, every single one of them. They literally, like, will risk their life going to a burning house and pull people out. I've actually seen it with my own eyes. I've seen an ESFJ man actually do that. And he was a big burly dude, really strong, and he made it happen. But he's also like extremely emotionally delicate because he wants everyone else around him to value him and what he does. But then again, it's funny because he'll go save lives as a fireman, and then he'll expect you to treat him like extra special over other people because he does that. Again, that covert contract is there. So you gotta always be aware of the possibility of a covert contract when dealing with ESFJs. So anyway, let's look at their inner child. So they're childishly aware of what other people want, just like ESTJs. All about wanting to give balloons and candy, yay, to other people. Hey, what do you want? They always have to find out what other people want to do. That's why, and it's weird because ESFJs are like, hey, what can I do to make you feel better? Hey, what can I do to give you what you want? And it just goes to show as to how easy it is to take advantage of ESFJs with how supportive they can be. I remember a few times, like, my grandmother would always ask me, hey, where do you want to go eat? Or my former, mother-in-law, she's also an ESFJ. Hey, you want to go do this? You want to do a vacation here? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I'll pay for it. And they'll offer, and it's kind of weird. But then it's like, now hold on, there's that risk of a covert contract there. What am I getting into? You got to be careful, right? You don't want to make a deal with someone that you can't hold up later. But then again, you don't even know the terms of the deal. I'm sorry I keep hammering on the covert contract, but it's a serious risk with ESFJs. So you got to be really careful with it. So then there's TI inferior. So we talked about TI inferior, the positive and negative aspects of that in the ENFJ video, and that really applies the same here as ESFJs. Remember, you have to go out of your way to not dismiss TI inferior. You always have to give its day in court. Always listen to TI inferior, even if they're wrong, even if you think it's ridiculous, even if you feel like it's dumb to listen to, or you believe that they're not correct. It doesn't matter. You have to respect the ESFJ. You have to listen to their thinking. If you do not give them the opportunity in their day in court, that TI inferior will turn into TE demon, and then you'll have an ENTJ demon after you. So like an ENTJ demon, like what it'll do, like it'll destroy your job. It'll work on destroying your now, basically. It will attack you from any legal possible angle that it can. ENTJ superegos get super legalistic about things. They get super controlling about things, and they'll try to like control your life through very direct and open ways. Pop off about you in public, complain about you to other people on a regular basis, and they will literally work to destroy your reputation. Now, it's not the same as ESTJ demon, which is from the ENFJs, which is more like a taskmaster, but an ENTJ demon parasite will absolutely destroy your reputation and destroy your social outlook and inhibit you from conducting business. They will hit you at every possible legal angle. So you have to be very careful to do that. So you just make sure that in order to avoid the ENTJ superego, you always give TI inferior its day in court. Always. So you always are committed to listening to them. But when you listen to an ESFJ, they feel comfortable with you. and then they feel like you want them, because that's all an ESFJ really wants. They just want you to feel good about them. They want to know that you value them. It's super important, and they want you to give them that recognition and that appreciation that FE Hero absolutely craves. But at the same time, they also want to know that you want them, that you desire them, that you want their presence at all times. And that includes socially. It also means the same thing in sexually, that you literally have sexual fiery desire for your ESFJ. That makes them like super horny and very awesome in the bedroom, because they just want to receive all those sensations that you could possibly give them, because that's what makes their SI inferior fire off. They absolutely want to receive those sensations that you're trying to give. The ESFJ wants to become that canvas with which you write upon, essentially. And they're willing to open up their soul to you in such a way where you're able to etch their soul in ways that they've never even dreamed, as you continue to craft a new experience or a similar experience that they enjoy, the original experience, as some ESFJs would call it, or other ESFJs is like, oh yeah, show me something new. What are you going to show me? What do you want to show me? What do you want to show me? That's all about extrovert intuition child with SI parent and how that axis works. What do you want to show me, right? What do you want to show me? And oh, you value me? Oh, I think that's great that you value me so much. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. That just shows me that you value me. And thank you for wanting me all the time and desiring me. It's always a good experience to know that you desire me, and it always makes me feel so comfortable and I could trust you, right? That is ESFJ ego. So for ISFP unconscious, it's a little bit different. So FI nemesis, they walk around feeling like they're bad people because they worry that they're bad, essentially. So again, you have to continue to be focused on giving recognition and showing appreciation to FE Hero over and over and over, constantly, all the time, regularly, because SI parent needs to feel comfortable, and regular sensation towards SI parent and any child to basically be like, oh yeah, I feel really good about what you're doing. You contribute to me so well. And you're just constantly giving them attaboys. ESFJs need attaboys on a regular basis. If they don't get them, then they feel like that they're doing something wrong, or they're not good enough for you, because they're so worried that they're bad people, that they worry that they're not good enough. They worry that they don't deserve you. And they worry that so much that because they don't deserve you, they're afraid that that you will no longer want them around. And that will cause them to no longer desire to be loyal to you. Remember, ESFJs are all about loyalty with SI parent, but if they get any inkling with their inner child that you no longer want them, they'll stop being loyal to you. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll find that they're loyal to somebody else, all because you weren't giving any child what it needs, or FE Hero the recognition and appreciation that it needs. So you got to be careful. ESFJs appear to be super low maintenance, when in reality that's not true. Because of their covert contracts, they can actually be very high maintenance if you're not careful. But if you're a type that's naturally compatible with them, it doesn't matter, because you're already automatically giving them what they need, because your brain or your mind is already producing the things that their mind is consuming, right? So it's no problem. You got the compatibility there. But if you're not so compatible with them, you got to be careful, and you got to make sure you're watching out for that, because they're super traditional like that. Now, their SE critic, ESFJs are super elitist at times. They can get really, really elitist. If someone's not like being regular, or following the bouncing ball in life, or not dressed properly, if they see someone that's walking around with their shoes untied, or there's some schmutz on their shirt or whatever, some dirt and whatnot, if there's a rip in their pants, they're going to immediately notice it, and it will trigger them. And they'll go up to you and they'll just start picking at you, picking all the hairs that's, if you had dog hair on your shirt or whatever, they're going to pull it off, and if you don't let them, they're going to lose respect for you. And they actually lose respect for other people who are not clean and who are not kept, who are not there, because they just can't handle it. They have to be around people who have enough self-respect to be able to take care of themselves, their outer appearance, how they dress and whatnot, because if that person is not giving a good experience, then that's not good. Why? Well, ESFJs go out of their way to be, to almost be idealistic about how they look with how they dress, as proper, as prim as proper as it could possibly get. And they go to all that effort for other people because they know the experience that they want to receive, as if they were giving a good first impression. So they are holding other people to the same standard with their extroverted sensing critic. And I don't know how many times I've heard ESFJs talk about how people are inferior if they go to like Walmart, for example. Oh, that's not good because that's not a good environment that I want to be in, or you shouldn't go to that store because that's a bad environment for you, or it makes you look, again, it's this elitist point of view, this SE critic. ESTJs are the same with that. They both have that very elitist point of view with SE critic. And when they're younger, ESFJs can walk around believing that everyone else is just straight up inferior to them, in the same way that ESTPs and ENTPs walk around believing everyone else is stupid, or ESFPs or ENFPs, we haven't gotten to them yet, they walk around believing everyone else are bad people, for example. Like, these subtle things exist in our minds, right? But as an ESFJ gets older, the SE critic realizes that not everybody is perfect, and even they themselves make mistakes. And it's always interesting. You can criticize an ESFJ just like you can criticize an ESTJ on their appearance, or how they're coming off, or how they're sounding, or how they're dressed, or you catch them going to Walmart themselves, or whatever they say. You can always call them out on that, and they'll immediately snap to and remember, oh, there's the standard I created, and then they feel guilty with their FE hero, and then they'll stop doing it, right? So just remember, you can always call them out on those things. Again, remember, they're motivated based on their duty because they're past-focused, duty-based. They're all about what they should do, and they're all about making other people feel good, but because of that, they can feel guilty, right? And when you have people trying to give them what they want, and guilt coming in, they can be guilted into making decisions. So you have to watch out with that, because anti-trickster, the way it goes, anti-trickster can be a problem because they never know what they want, ever. And quite frankly, you have to tell them what they want to do. In fact, imagine a couple, and a woman in the relationship is an ESFJ, right? And they're going to go buy a house together, but she's technically selling her house and it's her money, right? And the man of the relationship doesn't want to dictate to her, how to spend her money, out of respect for her. But the thing is, she looks at all these different houses and she has no idea which one she wants to get. Quite frankly, all she wants to know is what he wants. But she's not going to do that because SE critic is getting in the way, because she doesn't want to give him a bad experience in the sales process or whatever they're doing together, so she's not going to say anything. So then he's like, well, I kind of want you to get that house because that would be a better house. You'd have a better experience with it. And, he just lists all these reasons. And she's like, oh, thank God. Thank God you told me what you want. Finally, now we can get this figured out. And then she makes the decision, all because her husband or partner told her what house he wants. And that's how to get over an I-critic. If you're just upfront with them and tell them what you want, everything is okay, because they use that as like a boundary or a standard with which they get or a goalpost that they could be around. It's like home base, Everyone's always trying to be able to get back home, especially with the start button on a computer, right? Well, to an ESFJ, it's what other people want. So make sure you go out of your way to tell them what you want. Every now and then, SE critic may criticize you that might be a good thing to want, but for the most part, they absolutely always want to hear what you want, like they always want to hear how you feel about them. And then again, TE Demon, make sure you're always giving TI inferior its day in court, or else you'll have TE Demon to deal with, and it'll attack you in very legal and horrible reputation-destroying ways, like completely destroy your social reputation, destroy your status. They're all about destroying status, TE Demon. Same with the ENFJ, but again, it's more internalized because they've just become this controlling taskmaster with the whip. They're not so focused on the social outlook because it's internalized. But with the ENTJ demon, it becomes externalized, and they'll just destroy your social status. They'll destroy your reputation if you're not careful. Always give TI inferior its day in court, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. always give it, always respect it, because they walk around afraid that they're not smart. They walk around afraid that they're not intelligent, and they need to be able to share their thoughts with you and say, well, how do you feel about this thought that I have? Because if they don't have that, then they just walk around feeling stupid all the time. And they don't like that. They don't want to be afraid or not confident in their own thinking. But by you giving them their day in court, they can walk around in confidence knowing that their thinking is in the right place, that their thoughts are in the right place, that they're not doing something bad, or they're not doing something stupid that would cause you to value them less. If you're not thinking, or if you're not giving them their day in court, and then they make a bad decision because you're not giving them their day in court, and then that causes you to value them less because of that bad decision they made because you didn't give them their day in court, which then causes you to no longer want them, then they will no longer be loyal to you. How is that going to go for you? Yeah, exactly. The ENTJ demon's going to come for you. You don't want that to happen. So remember, just be aware of that risk when dealing with ESFJs. So, and their subconscious, if they're able to get over their insecurity, their TI inferior, their subconscious will kick in and they become this amazing, brilliant INTP engineer who is able to use symbols and metaphysics and major intellectual thoughts that will just blow you away. You just drive. Let's say you're just driving somewhere. Maybe you're going to go on a hike with your ESFJ companion, and all of a sudden they just start talking about physics, and you're like, I had no idea you cared so much about physics. And then they're like, oh yeah, I was a physics minor in college, and I studied it a lot in high school. And you're just thinking to yourself, really? I had no idea. I just thought you were a really cool EMT, but apparently you really care about physics and the theory of reality in our world, and there's talking to you about string theory and whatnot. It's like, because yeah, INTP subconscious. If they are secure in their thinking because you're giving them their day in court, they become really brilliant and can actually wield some serious intellectual power within their minds. You just have to make sure that they're not afraid. And they're not afraid if you listen to them. If you listen to your ESFJ, give their TI inferior its day in court, they will become brilliant because they will be confident in their thinking. Because it's the fear that keeps them from, going to that brilliant intellectual side of their mind. They're subconscious. They're aspiring to become one of the most intelligent people on the earth. And if there's no fear because you're listening to them, they will become that. And they will start giving these insanely brilliant ideas, and it's like, wow, that's amazing, unbelievable, right? And it's true. There's some ESFJs out there that have invented some crazy, amazing technology, all because someone was willing to listen to their ideas and give them immediate feedback. It's all about communication, guys, especially with ESFJs. So, anyway, let's sum up. All about how others feel. Don't make them guilty. Some people, they use guilt as a weapon, but they can be guilted into making bad decisions, so you have to protect them from guilt. They're very past-focused, duty-based, all about motivated by obligation. Be careful of obligation. They're all about what other people want, so always say what you want. Always give TI inferior its day in court. They worry about their self-worth, so always give them recognition and appreciation for everything they do for you. And watch out for SE critic. Make sure that you allow them to give you advice on your appearance, and make sure to criticize them on their appearance or their elitist behavior when necessary. Do not allow them to want things on their own, ever. That's like bad. And again, watch out for the TE demon. So in a nutshell, that is the ESFJ, also known as the supporter. And they can be extremely loyal, extremely caring, and extremely helpful. Just be careful to not allow them to caretake, because that's just a covert contract. So anyway, if you guys found this video useful, helpful, educational, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about ESFJs, go ahead and leave it in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer your question. We have a lot more videos to cover in this series, and I have even more videos. I finished my content delivery matrix last night, and I have another 200 to 300 videos planned. So it's going to be a lot of content that we're going to be pumping out here over the next year or so, maybe 2 years. So anyway, thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it, and probably be doing another video tonight. See you then.